everyone, another month has come and gone and I am here to share with you all of the books I bought and received in September. So I don't think I have too many, not as a lot as last time. Hopefully I can keep this relatively short. I only purchased 3 or 4 books this month because I don't know, like there's like 5 sitting in my Amazon cart and I just have not like pulled the trigger on that quite yet. I will eventually be. But either way, let's just dive right on in. I'm going to start with the books that I bought and then I will continue on with the books I received either through publishers or through book boxes. The first book I bought this month is Two Dark Reins by Kendara Blake. This is the 3rd book in the Three Dark Crowns series. I have already read this and reviewed it, so if you want to see my thoughts on it, I will link it right here. Three Dark Crowns is a YA fantasy series and it's kind of a darker, grittier one. It's about these 3 sisters that are like born queens. The queen had them and they're separated at the age of 6 and they each have different powers. One is a naturalist, she can control like the nature and animals and things like that. Other one is the elementalist where she can control all the elements. Then we have a poisoner who can ingest poisons and just be fine. Like, basically they're separated because at the age of 16 they come together and it's a fight to the death and whoever is left standing will be the new queen. So it's kind of a darker, grittier one, but good lord is it addicting. I believe there are 4 books in this series, so next year will be the last book of the series. I'm very sad about it, but either way, I love this one. I don't know if it's my favorite one. I think the second one might be my favorite. I'm still grappling with which one I love the most, but either way, if you're looking for a dark kind of atmospheric read, look no further than this series. The next book I bought was An Unwanted Guest by Sherry LaPena. This is an adult mystery thriller novel and I just actually finished this one. Read another one of her books. It was called, I think, A Stranger Inside the House, and yeah, Stranger in the House. And this one is relatively short. It's only, I want to say, like 280 pages. This is a lot like Clue, honestly. Like, have you seen the movie Clue? It takes place at a hotel in the Catskill Mountains in winter, and we have basically like these number of guests come and stay like at this really small hotel, kind of like a bed and breakfast almost, and an ice storm happens and the power goes out and they're all stuck there for days. And then a murder happens and they're trying to figure out who exactly did it, what happened, and then another murder happens. So it's kind of got that Clue feeling where like the who done it, they can't leave this house, they can't call for help because they can't drive anywhere, telephone lines are down, all those sorts of things. I did enjoy it. It's not one of my favorite mystery thrillers, but I'd say it's a perfect winter read because it's all about like an ice storm and things like that. And I did not guess who done it, but I like wasn't overly surprised about who done it. But either way, I bought it, I enjoyed it. If you're a big fan of mystery thrillers, maybe check it out. The last book I bought is Whiskey in a Teacup by Reese Witherspoon. So of course I had to buy this because I love Reese Witherspoon. Like I have like 3 female like celebrity addictions and one of them is Reese Witherspoon. I just love that she's so classy and she's very like all about women power and things like that. So of course I had to buy this book. The inside is beautiful. This book is kind of a hodgepodge of a lot of things. There's lots of recipes in it. There's lots of personal stories. She has a whole section about books because she actually has a book club, which I actually really am into. Honestly, I enjoy her picks. And it's also kind of about like the southernness and things like that. So very, very excited to read this and dive into it. I might listen to it on audiobook if possible. I don't know how that would fare out with recipes in it, but either way, it's a beautiful book. I had to buy it to support Reese Witherspoon because I just adore her to pieces. Moving on to the books that I got sent to by publishers, which I am extremely grateful for. Each month I get sent so many books and I am so lucky that I get sent these. I'm honored, honestly. And the first one I got is from Fierce Reads, and that is Archenemies by Marissa Meyer. So Archenemies is the sequel to Renegades, which was my favorite book of last year. Renegades is all about like this superhero like world. It's like a Marvel movie in the form of a book. We have these heroes which are called renegades and they save the day, they save the city. And then we have the anarchists who are kind of the bad people. So it follows Nova, who is an anarchist, and she kind of goes undercover to be a renegade, to learn more about them, to take them down within, and it's really fun, fast-paced novel. I loved it. The only complaints I have with these books are they're very lengthy. I think they're a little bit too long, but either way, I'm very, very excited to read it. This one comes out next month. oh, I cannot wait to read it. It's going to be so much fun and such a wild ride. A couple books that Touchstone Books kindly sent to me. The first one is Money Diaries. This is by Lindsay Stanbury, and this is actually, I'm sure you guys have seen on Facebook and Twitter by Refinery29 about these money diaries of these women that from all sectors of like what their income is, and they share a week in their life of what they spent, what they make in a month, and how they budget it out, and they share a week of how they spend day to day. And I'm gonna sound so nerdy, but I am fascinated with budgets and how other people budget. I always am enamored by like how people set out their budget, how they like prioritize different things over the others. Like, do they set a grocery budget? Do they try to have no spend days? I just am enamored by this. So I've already read this and really enjoyed it. There is a lot of money diaries in this, but there's also a lot about like money, like things about 401ks and things like that, which I found very interesting. But mostly I read the money diaries in this because it was interesting. And also there were so many women in this book that ate so much amazing things. Like they were having like so many luxurious meals, like, and I'm just like, I make spaghetti for dinner. I can't relate. Like they were having like pesto pasta with these really braised pork chop lambs, and I was like, how do they do this? It's spaghetti and like hot dogs. So yeah, it was very interesting for that regard. So I'd say if you're a big fan of budgeting and money, I would highly recommend checking out this book. Also sent me The Lost Queen by Sigma Pike. This is a adult kind of fantasy, historical fantasy, I think. It's kind of got a take on Outlander. It's about a queen that's been lost, a forgotten queen in 6th century Scotland, and a twin sister of a man who inspired the legend of Merlin. So I am very intrigued by it. I've never read a book quite like this before. I read a lot of adult books, but I don't read a lot of historical books, and I don't read a lot of like kind of fantasy adult books as well, and this is kind of historical fantasy, so it's going to be something different. Very excited to check it out though. From Harper Teen, I got sent And the Ocean Was Our Sky by Patrick Ness. So this is a beautiful book, and I just can't get over how beautiful this is. Like, look at the hardback and everything. So this is kind of a reimagining of Moby Dick. So in this book we actually follow whales, and we have these whales that have harpoons strapped on their backs, humans, and basically they attack this ship, and then things happen from there. It says a dark, lyrical, harrowing tale, hauntingly illustrated, that flips a classic story of violent obsession on its head with the heart-stopping questions of power, loyalty, and the monsters we wake. So super excited for this one. I'm sure you guys know Patrick Ness also wrote A Monster Calls, which is an amazing book. This one has chock full of illustrations, and I can't wait to read it. It's a very short book. You can read it within a span of hours, no problem, but I love how it's kind of a reimagining of Moby Dick. I've never read anything like that, so super excited for this one. I have a book from Berkeley, and that is The Matchmakers List by Sonia Lally. This is an arc, and it comes out in January, so this is about a main character named Raina who agrees that her well-meaning grandmother can play matchmaker if she hasn't found a husband by the age of 29. So basically that's what this all is about, is grandmother being her matchmaker. So it sounds like an awesome chick lit book, and I devour those whole. So I cannot wait to check this one out. I'm gonna try to wait till January to read it because I'd like to read them a little bit close to release date because I feel like that's fair. Then we have Heartland by Kimberly Stewart, and this got sent to me by Howard Books, and this book literally sounds like the plot of Sweet Home Alabama with my girl Reese Witherspoon. And this book we follow a girl named Grace who has made her fashion career in New York a reality, but then she's fired and she can't pull together next month's rent, so she goes back home to Iowa. Then she hates her tiny town, and there's no nightlife and things like that. And then I think she meets a guy named Tucker whose heart she broke when she left 10 years ago. I mean, this sounds exactly like Sweet Home Alabama, which I will gladly read any day. I have this monstrous of a book, and that is The Devil's Thief by Lisa Maxwell. This is a sequel to The Last Magician by her, and I read it last year and I really enjoyed it. Did I read it last year? Maybe it was this year. And I really enjoyed it. This is a weapon. This is a heavy book. This is like 660 pages. This is a long book. I don't know when I'm gonna read it, if I'm gonna have the freaking strength to read it. Like, don't come at me in an alley with this because I will use this against you. So The Last Magician is a very hard book to explain. It's about, like, it's a historical YA fantasy where we kind of go back in time when magic was prevalent and was kind of frowned upon. And you have this girl that can time travel, so she goes back to like the 1920s, I think, in New York, and she has to find this artifact to stop things, and that's all I know about it. It's been a while since I've read it, so I kind of need to refresh my memory. This one comes out next month, so very excited for it. I really don't know if I'm going to read it next month because Have I mentioned how big it is? It's freaking huge. A whole bunch of books that Simon sent to me. So they sent me an arc of Sirius New Light by Jen Bennett, which comes out in April. What? Insane for having this so early. So Jen Bennett is a YA contemporary author, and I've read her 2 other books and really enjoyed them. I don't know what this one is about. It's about mystery book aficionado Birdie. Oh, I love that name. Has an overactive imagination. Takes a job the summer before college working the graveyard shift at a historical Seattle hotel. Her new job, she meets Daniel, I can't pronounce his name, and he volunteers to be her guide, and the hotel's young charismatic van driver shares some nocturnal life and patronizes the waterfront Moonlight Diner where Birdie waits for early morning ferry after work. So it sounds like it's going to be a cute, fluffy, YA contemporary, and we all know I devour those like nobody else. We have this one, which is a beautiful, beautiful book. It's called Summer Bird Blue by Kemi Dawn Bowman. And this book is very heartbreaking. I've read a little bit about it. It's about a girl named Rumi who spends a lot of the time worrying she didn't have the answers to everything. Basically, her younger sister dies in a car accident, and her mother sends Rumi away to live with her aunt in Hawaii while she deals with her own grief. Now thousands of miles away from home, Rumi struggles to navigate the loss of her sister, being abandoned by her mother, and the absence of music from her life. With the help of the boys next door, a teenage surfer named Kai, who smiles too much and doesn't take anything seriously, and Rumi attempts to find her way back to music to write the song she and Leah never had the chance to finish. Beautiful, heartbreaking, wrenching of a book. I do believe this has a lot of asexual rep in it as well, in case you're interested in it for that matter, but either way, very excited to read this. This is going to be one that I have to kind of amp myself up for because it's going to be like a heartbreaker one. Speaking of heartbreaking, I have A Heart in the Body in the World by Deb Coletti. I have started reading this because I do have an arc of this, and I never got around to finishing it because I just started another book. I don't know why. But basically this book is about a girl named Annabelle who decides after this big tragic event that I still don't know, and I'm about 50 pages into it, she decides that she's going to run across country to Washington, D.C. to try to make a difference in what happened to her in her life. So followed by her grandpa Ed in his RV and backed by her brother and her 2 friends, Annabelle becomes a reluctant activist who will connect her journey through the trauma from her past. So this book is very, very heart-wrenching as well, like the last one, and I'm very, very excited to read it. And I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this, and I really need to read it soon because I'm loving it. I just have to finish it. Like, there's so many books I'm in the middle of right now, which never, ever happens to me, but right now, so much it is happening. Last stack of books I have to share with you guys are books I got from book boxes, which are quite a lot, so bear with me. So the first one I got in my Outcrate special edition box, and that is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. So they put out a Vengeful box and they sent it to me, and I am so freaking excited for it. Vengeful is the sequel to Vicious, which you guys know I love. Vicious is like a superheroes like kind of thing, like evil versus good, right versus wrong. It's just action-packed, intense. This is an adult series, just so you know. It's not YA. It's amazing. I can't wait to read it. This is a signed edition and it's numbered as well, so I'm feeling very extremely lucky to have one of these. I can't wait. At Outcrate, in their Outcrate regular box, I got Mirage by Samaya Dodd. This is a beautiful edition of it. Even the inside, look at that, it's beautiful as well. This book is about a girl named Amani who's a dreamer, and then she is kidnapped by the regime and taken in secret to the royal palace because she looks exactly like the princess, and everyone hates the princess. So she becomes a body double for said princess because everyone hates that princess and they wants to kill her. So like, let's just use Amani as a body double. And Amani quickly actually likes her job. She likes being in the palace, and she starts falling for the princess's fiance. So that's very, very interesting and intriguing. And either way, very, very excited to check this one out. I have At Night the Stars by Maura Millon. This is a sci-fi young adult book. It's about like this, I don't know much about this book. This reminds me a lot like Star Wars. We have this girl, like Star Wars Rogue One almost. We have this girl that's kind of a vigilante and she goes off and does things. I think there's like this plague that's happened. I don't know much about this. This is the only one I don't know too much about. But I have my 3 book of the month picks that I picked out for September. The first one is Cross Her Heart by Sarah Pinbar. This is an adult mystery thriller novel I'm planning to read next month. This girl named Lisa, who is a single mother, and she values her privacy and devotes herself to raising her 16-year-old daughter, Ava. And something has happened in Lisa's past that she's trying to hide. And then I think Ava figures it out, and then she starts to learn more about her mother, I think. I don't know. I don't know much about it. I want to go into mystery thrillers not knowing too much about it, but either way, I think it's going to be very creepy because I think Sam Pinbar is known for that. Then I have this beautiful freaking book, The Mermaid and Mrs. Hancock, Imogen Hermes Goward. Look at this. It's stunning. I can't get over it. This book is very different for me as well, kind of like The Lost Queen was. This takes place in 17 85. I know. Who am I? And this is, I don't know how to explain it. It's about a prosperous elderly merchant receives a most unusual creature and meets a most extraordinary gifted woman in a wholly original tale of myth, marvel, magnetism, and literary magic. So it sounds very intriguing. I don't know when I'll like force myself to read it because it's a long book at that. It's like 500 pages, so it's quite lengthy. The last book I got from Book of the Month is #Fashion Victim by Amina Akatar. Look at that. Okay, this is like, it says it's Heather meets Devil Wears Prada, which is all I'm going to tell you because that is what sold it to me. If you don't know what Heather's is, my name is Heather, yes, but Heather's is an 80s movie starring Winona Ryder and Christian Slater. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I mean, just watch it. It's amazing. And then Devil Meets Prada's a classic chick lit movie. Like, I love that movie. So I think it's going to be like kind of cutthroat and also kind of scary, and I'm down for that. So very excited to check it out. Yeah, but those are all the books I had to share with you in my book haul. Again, sorry for the length. If you have heard of any of these books, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on them. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.